Who are the stakeholders in the vocational education ecosystem? These are, according to me, the government, the regulatory bodies, the training centers funded by the government, the non-state actors usually referred to as affordable learning providers, the students, and finally the industry. Now, what is the common concern for all these stakeholders? The answer is quality assurance in all the elements of technical and vocational education and training. Now, what is this quality assurance? I'm tempted to use the metaphor of our mind. It is erroneously assumed that our mind is an entity in the physical sense, but it does offer proof of its existence by way of our manner, style, and behavior. Quality is not another separate entity beyond its manifestation in the various subsystems in the TVET ecosystem. Quality assurance to me, and I could not find a better example, is like an invisible yet omnipresent octopus whose tentacles firmly hold a grip on all the elements and subsystems of TVET. Despite that, many practitioners believe that the quality assurance to be a standalone system and unwittingly commit what is known as category mistake. It was Gilbert Ryle, the British philosopher, while repudiating the mind-body dualism, mentioned about the category mistake. And he gives an example. While explaining the game of cricket to a friend, he talked about the pitch, the bowler, the batsman, the wicket-keeper, and the rest of the players. And after hearing all this, his friend asks, "I see all of this, but where is the sportsman spirit?" He erroneously assumes that sportsman spirit is the 13th player of the game, or it exists as a separate entity or category other than the 12 players playing cricket. In fact, the collective manner in which the game of cricket is played reflects the presence or absence of sportsman spirit. Now, what implications the category mistake has in the TVET? In many countries, one has witnessed one or the other subsystems of TVET getting undue prominence at the cost of other equally critical subsystems. The net result can be explained by an example of a person who is fond of drinking beer and holding a large glass of beer in his right hand for years. His right hand muscles are bulging, but otherwise the man is a bag of bones. In other words, a part of the system of subsystem does not convey the essence of quality assurance. In fact, it is a perfect harmony among all the systems that gives the evidence of quality assurance. In this presentation, let me try to explain the philosophy of quality assurance for TVET. I have seen in many geographies the national qualification framework is nothing but a laundry list of levels of training programs and the respective qualifications. No wonder the industry finds the youth who comes with a certificate of completion of training not fit for the job. The national occupational standards are a rehash of the standard job descriptions, missing out critical elements of the know-how, problem solving, and accountability in the job. In several cases, the qualification framework descriptions do not get aligned with qualifications. The linkage is very critical for cross-sector pathways. Such a situation is witnessed in the Indian TVET system, wherein the industry, though nominally represented through the sector skill councils, follow their own framework while recruiting candidates, thus defeating the national objective of TVET being the prime source of supply of well-trained and motivated youth force. TVET system has different parentage, if I have to use this word, in different countries. In countries like India, the bulging youth population and the poverty alleviation programs of the government has forced policymakers to look at the TVET with a different perspective. In South Africa, economic and social inclusion of those who faced discrimination due to apartheid has been the driving force. Historically, in India, TVET was treated in complete isolation from the formal school and higher education processes. It is only now, with the National Education Policy 2020, the government has provided a holistic perspective of linking TVET with formal education and bridging the inequality and inequity among the underprivileged sections. A point worth mentioning while talking about quality assurance is the concept of lifelong learning. Education does not stop at getting the certificate or degree or diploma. In fact, many examples of workers in the informal sector, they do not have any formal degree, yet they excel in what they do. Housewives cook daily meals with 100% quality assurance, yet they do not have any certifications or qualifications. The concept of recognition of prior learning in this context is indeed laudatory. The idea of competency and outcome-based learning principles and processes for the recognition of learning, the processes for the accreditation and award of qualifications, and the capacity and processes for systems change all reflect differences in the epistemology, if you will, of knowledge, skills, and competencies, and the ownership of and the value carried by the qualifications. These concepts and the ambitions are relatively new, often contested, and their impact remains therefore largely formative. Their embodiment within the innovation of the first generation of national qualification provides unique case studies for an examination of the nature of qualification systems and the extent to which these systems can be supported and managed to achieve wider national economic and social objectives. They also provide test cases of the efficacy of different constructs of knowledge and skills and the processes, foundations, and authority for the recognition. I'm digressing. Coming back to quality assurance for TVET, in my view, the robust QA process provides a national commitment and identity. It also helps in ensuring international mobility of the youth. If all the elements are in sync with what the industry expects, then that assures the industry, and the trained youth will be picked up immediately by the industry. We have seen that happening in the top business schools, wherein the bright students' fees are picked up by the companies and they are absorbed upon completion of their studies. Quality assurance mechanism activities in TVET depends on the existence of necessary mechanisms which are sustained by realistic quality assurance. The mechanisms are internal and external quality assurance. The inputs for the QA mechanism comes from the society, the policy planners, the infrastructure, the content, pedagogy, quality of entry gate assessment, the trainer and his competence, sector skill councils and the timely inputs, the occupational standards, and not to overlook the funding to the non-state players who are interested but do not possess deep pockets to run the schools. It is important to realize that in this era of globalization, although the development and growth of countries around the world depend on a number of conditions, it is largely accepted that the performance of their education and training systems and specifically their vocational education subsystems is among the most critical of these conditions. Although national vocational education subsystem should operate on scientifically based principles and independently of all political pressures from stakeholders, strengthening these systems is a shared responsibility. It's a moral commitment that requires investment and participation on the part of both the public and the private sectors. In other words, in order to address the growing international demands, national education and training systems are required to adopt a broader mandate, have a global vision, and more importantly, they have to act locally. To conclude, I would like to compare the quality assurance process, as I mentioned before, to an invisible octopus. As we know, octopus is a very intelligent sea animal with 8 limbs. I imagine quality assurance to hold tightly the various subsystems of TVET to ensure that each of these subsystems works optimally and in full sync with the other elements, making the input, activities, outputs, outcome, and impacts sequence perform in a very seamless and efficient manner like a beautiful orchestra. Thank you very much.